Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going on a journey through the life of, well, one of the most fascinating and I'd say controversial figures of our time, Elon Musk. We're going deep into Walter Isaacson's new biography, and believe me, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, you might know Elon Musk is the force behind Tesla, SpaceX, even Twitter these days, but there's so much more to him than just those headlines. And that's what we're doing today. We're going beyond the headlines to discover, I guess, the man behind the missions.
Yeah, and you're right. This biography doesn't just cover the well-known successes. It really digs into some of the lesser-known events and the personal experiences that really shaped him.
And Isaacson kicks things off with a story that really sets the stage for the kind of childhood that Musk had. Picture this. Elon and his brother Kimball are just kids in apartheid-era South Africa. They're walking to a concert, and they come across this horrifying scene. There in the middle of the street is a dead body with a knife still in the head, surrounded by a pool of blood. He literally had to wade through it. This wasn't some movie or anything. This is real life for young Elon.
It's a shocking image, and it's just one example of the violence and the trauma that kind of permeated his early life. And I think these experiences would leave a lasting impact, shaping his drive, maybe his ambition, even his emotional responses.
It makes you wonder how anyone could come out of that environment. I mean, really unscathed. And then Isaacson hits us with another story. The one about Elon's dog being shot is just heartbreaking. But it goes even deeper than that. So Elon, just a little kid at the time, was so attached to this dog. When it bit him, he was terrified they'd put it down. They reassured him they wouldn't. But then, as Elon recalls, they damn well shot the dog dead.
It's just that callous disregard for his feelings. And, you know, it wasn't an isolated incident. That's something that emerges throughout his relationship with his father, Errol. And Isaacson paints a picture of Errol, as you know. Emotionally abusive, lacking empathy, constantly putting Elon down.
It's almost hard to believe. Like that time Elon ended up in the hospital after a school fight. Instead of offering comfort or support, Errol berated him, blamed him for provoking the fight, and even called him worthless and an idiot. Can you imagine coming home from the hospital to that? Even Elon's brother Kimball remembers that incident as like his worst memory.
Yeah, it's such a stark contrast to the image many have of Elon Musk.
Right.
The billionaire innovator, the larger-than-life figure. These glimpses into his childhood make you wonder, did those early traumas fuel his drive? Did he overcompensate for that lack of emotional support by seeking success and validation in other areas of his life?
It definitely makes you think. And Isaacson kind of seems to support that idea.
Yeah.
When he brings up Elon's first wife, Justine's comments about him. She described his lack of empathy as both a source of conflict in their relationship and possibly a factor in his success. It's like he can be so focused on his goals, on achieving the impossible, that he misses or even dismisses the human cost.
It's a complex dynamic, and it's woven throughout, you know, all of his personal relationships. But to really fully understand Musk, we have to acknowledge that it wasn't all doom and gloom. He also had a very powerful source of inspiration, and that was science fiction.
Yes. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy wasn't just a fun read for young Elon, it was a lifeline. Isaacson describes how it helped him grapple with these big existential questions about life, the universe, and everything. But it also ignited his fascination with space exploration, really planting the seeds for what would become SpaceX.
And even before SpaceX, Elon displayed, you know, remarkable entrepreneurial spirit even as a teenager. Remember his idea for an arcade? He had like the whole business plan laid out, down to the financial projections.
Right. He wanted to open an arcade. I've never heard that story.
He did. Unfortunately, he needed an adult to sign the permits. His father, well, that wasn't going to happen.
That's almost funny, but also kind of sad. There he was, a teenager with a fully formed business plan, hitting a bureaucratic wall.
Yeah, but that experience is a perfect example of a pattern that emerges throughout his life.
Right.
Encountering obstacles and finding a way to overcome them. That drive, that ambition only seemed to intensify as he got older.
You're right. He's not someone who rests on his laurels. Look at Zip 2, his first big success. He could have walked away a multimillionaire, but instead, he chose to reinvest almost everything in his next venture, Axos.com, which later became PayPal.
It's that all-in mentality, that refusal to be satisfied, that really sets him apart. And while it's undoubtedly propelled his success, it also kind of reveals this complexity in his personal relationships.
Let's dive into those relationships a little bit, because they're just as fascinating as his business ventures. We touched on his first marriage to Justine, but Isaacson also details his relationships with Tallulah Riley and Grimes, which were, well, let's just say a bit unconventional.
Yes, unconventional is a good word for it. Take his relationship with Tallulah Riley, for example. They divorced twice and remarried once. There's even a quote from Tallulah, where she describes her main job as keeping Elon from going king crazy.
King crazy? What does that even mean?
She explains it as what happens when people become king and then they go crazy.
Wow. That's a powerful statement. I guess when you're on top of the world.
Yeah.
Surrounded by yes men, it's easy to lose touch with reality.
Exactly. And it speaks to the challenges of maintaining a sense of normalcy and balance when you're driven by such, extraordinary ambition.
It's like that old saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But I think Tallulah's quote also highlights the importance of having people in your life who can challenge you, who can keep you grounded.
Absolutely. And speaking of unconventional relationships, his time with Grimes was full of interesting anecdotes, from the unusual name of their son, XAA12, to their reported arguments over the video game Polytopia. Their relationship seemed to be a blend of the whimsical and the intensely competitive.
It's like even in his personal life, that drive to win, to be the best, that kind of shines through.
And Isaacson points out this interesting pattern in Musk's life, even after breakups. He often throws himself into his work as a way of coping. He seems to channel all that emotional energy into his companies, which might explain why he can be so demanding, so relentless in his pursuit of his goals.
It's like his work is both his passion and his escape. But all that intensity has to take a toll, both on him and the people around him.
That brings us to another key aspect of Musk's personality, his approach to problem solving. It's something he calls first principles thinking.
Ah, yes, the famous Musk method. It sounds pretty intimidating. What exactly does it mean?
It's actually quite simple, in theory. It's about breaking down complex problems to their most basic truths and then building solutions from there. A classic example is how Musk approached the cost of rockets. He didn't just accept the exorbitant prices quoted by aerospace suppliers. He questioned everything. He analyzed the raw materials, the manufacturing processes, and really challenged the industry's assumptions about what was possible.
That sounds like classic Elon. Questioning the status quo, refusing to take no for an answer, and finding a better way, even if it means shaking things up.
Exactly. And that approach was really foundational to the success of SpaceX. Instead of relying on expensive contractors, he decided to build rocket parts in-house, drastically cutting costs and fostering this whole culture of innovation.
So it's not just about cost cutting. It's about control and efficiency, too. It's about challenging the traditional way of doing things and finding a more streamlined, more innovative approach.
Precisely. And that relentless focus on innovation and efficiency also permeates his management style, which, as you can imagine, is quite demanding.
We're talking about those infamous Musk's rules for rocket building, right? Isaacson quotes some of them. And they sound more like commandments from a demanding deity than business principles.
Well, they certainly create a very high-pressure work environment. There's one rule that says you should always question every cost, which makes sense. But then there's another one that says failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. It's clear that Musk expects his employees to push boundaries and take risks, even if it means making mistakes along the way.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
That kind of environment can inspire incredible feats of engineering and problem solving, but it can also be incredibly demoralizing and unsustainable for employees. Isaacson actually shares anecdotes from Tom Mueller, one of SpaceX's early engineers, who describe both the exhilaration and the exhaustion of working for Musk. He talks about moments of sheer brilliance and breakthroughs, but also times of intense pressure and burnout.
It's interesting to contrast Musk's hands-on, detail-oriented management style with that of Jeff Bezos at Blue Origin. Bezos is known for being more delegatory, or hands-off.
Yeah. Bezos is more of a set the vision and let the team execute it kind of leader, whereas Musk seems to be involved in every detail, which, as we've seen, can lead to both incredible successes and some pretty dramatic clashes.
And Isaacson even points out their contrasting reactions to rocket landings. Musk was ecstatic, jumping up and down in the control room, while Bezos remained seated, calmly clapping.
It's amazing how two people can approach the same goal with such different personalities and styles. But I guess that's part of what makes the world of innovation so fascinating. It takes all kinds to push the boundaries and achieve the impossible.
That's a great point. And speaking of pushing boundaries, we can't ignore another aspect of Elon Musk that has evolved significantly over the years, his political views.
That's right. He's become increasingly vocal about his political beliefs, and it hasn't been without controversy. Where do you think this shift in his political thinking comes from?
Well, it seems to stem from a combination of factors, including his experiences in California, his interactions with some pretty influential figures, like Peter Thiel, and perhaps even a growing disillusionment with what he perceives as excessive political correctness.
He's definitely not afraid to speak his mind, even if it means alienating some people. Remember that infamous "fuck Elon Musk" tweet from a California politician?
Yes, and that incident, along with, I think, a growing sense of frustration with California's regulatory environment, actually played a significant role in his decision to move Tesla to Texas. He felt like California was becoming hostile to his vision, bogged down in regulations, and what he perceived as political correctness. He began to see Texas as a place where he could operate with more freedom and less interference.
And his concerns seem to go beyond traditional political issues. He's become increasingly vocal about declining birth rates, calling it a major risk to civilization, and has expressed concerns about what he sees as the stifling effects of the thought police, where those who he feels try to control and censor dissenting opinions.
It's definitely a shift from his earlier, more politically neutral stance.
Right.
It seems like he's becoming more and more willing to take a stand on issues that are important to him, even if it means ruffling some feathers.
Which brings us to, drumroll please, the Twitter saga. It's hard to believe. It's only been a few months since he took over. Where do we even begin with this one? It's been a whirlwind of chaos, controversy, and unexpected changes.
It's a perfect example
Yeah.
of Musk's impulsive nature and his willingness to dive headfirst into uncharted territory. It all started with his ambivalence towards Twitter. He initially found it boring, but his friend Bill Lee convinced him of its potential as a platform for unfiltered communication and, a bastion of free speech.
And as we know, Musk doesn't do anything halfway. He went from tweeting more frequently to buying the whole company. It's almost unbelievable how quickly that decision unfolded.
Isaacson really captures the almost impulsive nature of it all, how it played out over a weekend at Larry Ellison's house and a late-night gaming session with Grimes.
It's like something out of a movie. 1 minute he's playing video games.
Yeah.
And the next he's plotting to buy one of the most influential social media platforms in the world.
And once he took over, let's just say chaos ensued. From firing engineers based on Slack messages to personally overseeing server removals with his cousins, Musk's management style at Twitter was as chaotic as it was at SpaceX and Tesla.
And let's not forget the controversy surrounding his reinstatement of Donald Trump's account and his handling of content moderation. It's like he's trying to turn Twitter into a digital Wild West, where anything goes.
It's certainly been a turbulent few months for Twitter, and its future under Musk's leadership remains uncertain.
It's definitely a story that's still unfolding, and we'll have to wait and see what the long-term impact of his takeover will be. But for now, let's shift gears a little bit and explore another fascinating facet of Elon Musk's vision, his pursuit of AI alignment.
That's a great transition, because while Twitter might be dominating the headlines right now, Musk's work in artificial intelligence could have far more profound implications for the future of humanity.
I can't wait to dive into that. It's a topic that's both exciting and a little bit terrifying. And knowing Elon Musk, it's sure to be full of surprises. We were just talking about how unpredictable Elon Musk can be, and his ventures into the world of AI are a perfect example of that. It's not just about building self-driving cars or anything. He's actually trying to merge human consciousness with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, he's not just interested in the technological possibilities of AI. He's also deeply concerned about its potential dangers. He's even gone as far as to call it potentially more dangerous than nukes.
It's a pretty stark warning from someone who's usually so optimistic about the future of technology. So it's not just about building cool gadgets. He's trying to steer AI in a direction that benefits humanity. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction. Yeah. But it's happening right now.
Precisely. And Musk has been actively involved in shaping the development of AI for over a decade. Back in 2015, he co-founded OpenAI with the goal of ensuring that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. However, he eventually stepped down from the board in 2018.
Why did he leave OpenAI? I thought he was so passionate about their mission.
Well, he was. But he felt that OpenAI wasn't moving fast enough, or perhaps not in the direction he envisioned. He's been publicly critical of OpenAI, particularly its close partnership with Microsoft and its development of ChatGPT, which he sees as too focused on commercial applications and not sufficiently concerned with the ethical implications of AI.
So it's not just about developing AI, it's about developing it responsibly and ethically.
Exactly. And for Musk, ensuring human control over AI is paramount. That's where his other venture, Neuralink, comes in.
Okay, Neuralink. This is where things get really mind-boggling, even for Elon Musk. They're developing implantable brain-machine interfaces, which are basically chips that connect our brains directly to computers. It sounds crazy, but they've actually done some pretty incredible demonstrations with animals showing how these chips can record and even stimulate brain activity.
Yeah, it's definitely a radical concept, and it's still in the very early stages of development. But Musk believes that Neuralink has the potential to revolutionize how we interact with technology, allowing for faster communication, and even enhancing our cognitive abilities.
So instead of typing on a keyboard or using a mouse, we'll just think our command.
In theory, yes. And even more importantly, Musk sees Neuralink as a way to merge with AI, to become part of the network, and avoid being overtaken by it.
It's a bold vision, but it also raises a lot of questions. What are the risks of implanting a chip in your brain? What happens to our privacy when our thoughts are connected to a computer? And is it even ethical to try to merge human consciousness with artificial intelligence?
Those are all valid concerns, and they're being debated right now by ethicists, scientists, and policymakers around the world. But for Musk, the potential benefits of Neuralink, particularly in terms of ensuring human control over AI, outweigh the risks.
It's definitely a lot to wrap your head around. So we've got Neuralink merging our brains with computers. What about Optimus? That's his vision for a humanoid robot, right?
That's right. Optimus is envisioned as a general-purpose robot, capable of performing a wide range of tasks that are either too dangerous or too repetitive for humans. Musk believes that Optimus has the potential to revolutionize labor and potentially even become a major source of revenue for Tesla.
Wow. Robots doing our chores, earning money for us. Sign me up. But seriously, how far along are they with this Optimus project? Is this something we'll see in our lifetime?
Well, Musk has already showcased some early prototypes of Optimus, and he's known for setting ambitious timelines. But it's important to remember that he also has a history of overpromising and underdelivering, especially when it comes to new technologies.
So we might have to wait a bit longer for our robot butlers.
Probably, but the fact that they're already working on prototypes suggests that Musk is serious about making Optimus a reality. And when you think about it, Optimus really represents the convergence of all of Musk's various technological pursuits. The AI capabilities of Tesla's self-driving system, the robotics expertise of SpaceX, and the brain-machine interface potential of Neuralink.
It's like he's trying to create a future where humans and AI coexist and collaborate, with robots handling the mundane tasks and humans focusing on higher-level thinking and creativity. But what does all of this have to do with his ultimate goal of colonizing Mars?
That's a great question. Remember, Musk sees Earth as vulnerable to various existential threats, from climate change to asteroid impacts to, yes, even rogue AI. He believes that becoming a multiplanetary species is essential for the long-term survival of humanity.
So Mars is our backup plan. Like an insurance policy for the human race.
In a sense, yes. But it's also more than that. Musk views Mars as an opportunity for a fresh start, a chance to build a new society, free from the constraints and mistakes of Earth.
It's a grand vision, but also incredibly daunting. Getting to Mars is just the first step. Then we have to figure out how to survive. On a planet with a thin atmosphere, extreme temperatures, and no breathable air.
Exactly. And that's where AI and robotics become crucial. Musk envisions robots doing much of the heavy lifting, building habitats and infrastructure before humans arrive. And once we're there, AI could help us manage resources, monitor environmental conditions, and potentially even terraform the planet to make it more habitable.
That's like a giant real-life science fiction experiment. With Elon Musk as the ambitious director.
Perhaps. And it's that ambition, that relentless drive to push the boundaries of what's possible, that makes Elon Musk such a fascinating and polarizing figure.
So we've covered his tumultuous childhood, his unconventional relationships, his revolutionary companies, and his ambitious vision for the future. It's a lot to take in.
It is. But it's important to remember that this is just a glimpse into the complex world of Elon Musk. There's so much more to explore, and Isaacson's biography provides a wealth of information for those who want to delve deeper.
It's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm eager to hear your final thoughts on Musk's overall legacy. So we've spent this deep dive exploring the many facets of Elon Musk, the driven innovator, the sometimes controversial figure, and the ambitious visionary. But as we're wrapping things up, I keep coming back to this question of legacy. What will people remember him for?
That's the real challenge with a figure like Elon Musk. It's almost impossible to sum him up, you know, in a neat little box. He's a bundle of contradictions, and Isaacson does a great job of presenting those contradictions without shying away from them. He highlights both the brilliance and the flaws, the triumphs and the missteps.
Yeah, it's true. On the one hand, you have these groundbreaking achievements, revolutionizing the electric car industry with Tesla, reigniting the space race with SpaceX, pushing the boundaries of AI with Neuralink. I mean, he's even taken over Twitter, for better or worse, and completely shaken up the social media landscape.
And yet, those achievements are often intertwined with some, well, questionable behavior. Remember that story about the engineer who got fired just for asking clarifying questions during like a late night factory visit?
Oh, yeah. It's hard to reconcile that kind of harsh management style with the image of the benevolent tech genius saving the world. You know, it makes you question his methods, even if the end goals are admirable.
Exactly. And then there's his political evolution, which has been anything but straightforward. He went from cautiously optimistic about Trump to disillusioned and increasingly aligned with, right-wing talking points about wokeness and the thought police, as he calls them.
And then there are those impulsive moments that make you wonder if he's really thought things through, like that bizarre incident where he called a British cave diver a pedo guy on Twitter. It was a completely unfounded accusation that ended up costing him millions in a defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, those kinds of outbursts raise questions about his judgment, his maturity. They make you wonder if he's letting his emotions get the better of him, even when the stakes are high.
It's like he has these moments of absolute brilliance, these flashes of insight that propel humanity forward. But then he does something that makes you question everything.
It's perplexing. But maybe it's a reminder that even the most extraordinary individuals are still human. They're still flawed. They're still prone to making mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are colossal.
So where does that leave us in terms of his legacy? How do we weigh the groundbreaking achievements against the questionable behavior and the impulsive decisions?
If we connect this back to the bigger picture, I think Musk really represents a particular archetype of the modern entrepreneur, the visionary, the disruptor, the relentless force of nature, who bends reality to his will. He's a product of Silicon Valley culture, but he's also transcending it. He's pushing beyond the digital realm and into the physical world, into space, into the very fabric of human consciousness.
And that's what makes this deep dive so thought-provoking. It's not just about Elon Musk, the individual. It's about the forces he represents, the choices he's making, the future he's trying to shape.
And those forces, those choices, that future, they're going to impact all of us, whether we like it or not.
So the big question is, what do you think? What's your assessment of Elon Musk's legacy? Is he a hero, a villain, a genius, a madman? Or, as Isaacson suggests, some complex combination of all of these?
That's the real deep dive, isn't it? Each of us has to grapple with that question and come to our own conclusions. There's no easy answer.
I think that's a great place to leave it. This deep dive has been a journey through the life and work of one of the most complicated and influential figures of our time. We've explored his triumphs, his failures, and his enduring impact on the world. But ultimately, it's up to each of us to decide what we think of Elon Musk and the future he's building.
I agree. And I encourage everyone listening to delve deeper into Isaacson's biography. It's a fascinating read, full of insights and anecdotes that will challenge your perceptions of Elon Musk and the world we live in.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Elon Musk. We hope you've enjoyed the journey and that it sparked some interesting thoughts and conversations.
恭喜你又听完了一本书，订阅以便不错过更多精彩节目，也别忘了分享给你的朋友，一起快乐听书学英语。